welcome to NefariousCast.com. My name is Joshua, and I'll be your host today. And we are coming in a series of character. We've been discussing character traits, how they apply to our lives, how we can be more diligent about improving our character, and how it actually affects others at times. But we're going to take a break from that tonight. We are going to be discussing a couple of candidates very briefly that are running for mayor in Denver, Colorado. And the reason why we're discussing them is because I live in Denver, Colorado. And the topic we're going to be talking about is actually going to be homelessness. I've talked about it in a couple of previous podcasts. We have a candidate. Homelessness is an issue around the United States. It's more of vagrancy. We don't have people that are losing their jobs and have no other job to go to in this country. I see it in the construction industry every day, to where probably about, I would say, 70% of the people out there begging for your money on the street, I could take to any construction site, get them signed up, and they can pick up trash, sweep, help. If they have any kind of building skills, they can help build temporary safety rails, things like that on site. They can hold a stop sign, directing traffic. I mean, there are so many jobs out there that there is just no excuse for homelessness. You have a lot of people that would rather just ask you for your money, the money that you worked hard for, the money that your husband worked hard for, your wife worked hard for. If you're a young adult, these people are not above hitting you up for money that your parents gave you. And there's a huge temptation to give these people money. We all come from a background where you believe in one thing or another. If you're religious, you believe in a God of some sort. There's a place in religion that basically teaches you to be kind, to give to others in charity and things like that. But what it also doesn't say is give to people who don't want to do anything and don't want to help, even though they are able. And some religions actually address this. The Christianity actually does. It says give the widows and orphans. But if you're a guy that just doesn't want to work, kind of fuck yourself. That's kind of what it says, in a more Christian way about it. That's kind of where I'm at with it. You have mothers and kids out on the street, and I don't know how they got there. I don't know if it's the husband sticking them out there because they'll earn more money, or what the deal is. Usually when I see a mother and kids on the street, it's some foreign individual in their family. It doesn't happen often, but I do see it here and there. I don't know how to feel about that, because in this day and age, you need to be skeptical about everything, okay? People are always trying to scam you and rip you off. And that may seem like a pessimist point of view, but that's exactly what's going on these days. You have people that will nickel and dime you from every company that you subscribe to. You'll be taxed around every corner from your government. And this is one of those times where in the city of Denver, we have a candidate who has been, if you've seen any of his videos, his number one topic that he is speaking on is homelessness, and how he wants to pay and provide homes and places for these people to stay. Now, here's the issue. He's got to come up with money for that. Okay. This guy wants to literally build housing. Okay. Now I've seen, and take this with a grain of salt here. I have seen project housing in many different parts of the city. And I will tell you, other than the neighborhood, which in my case, it's not much different. The housing I've seen can at times be better than what I'm paying $1,300 a month for. Single bedroom apartment, It's a nice apartment. It's a big community. I believe they're, if I'm not mistaken, they touted about 600 to 900 residents. I want to say it was 9, but I may be dyslexic-ish to where it was 600 residences, but not residents, residences. But in any case, it's a big community. And the apartment's not bad. It's a nice apartment. When I shopped around for apartments, it was definitely one of the nicer ones that didn't cost as much as a house at the time. Unfortunately, the biggest problem, the bigger problem in Denver, Colorado, in Colorado in general, is the skyrocketing price of rent. That should be more of a bigger topic, because I see people getting evicted left and right around here. At any given time during the week, you can come here. And in fact, what was it, this last week over the holiday, they evicted somebody on a Friday, and their belongings sat out next to, it's a makeshift, well, it's not a makeshift. They built a little indoor soccer arena for the people here, which it's for a certain demographic of people here. But it sat out there right next to that little field they built. And, unfortunately, whatever transpired to get that person evicted, I think, if I'm not mistaken, it was more of a drug thing. But the skyrocketing price of rent around here, anytime during the week, you can come here, walk the grounds, and you will see people's belongings out on the grass or the sidewalks or the street in front of where they lived. So, you want to deal with a problem, deal with the problem of rent that costs as much as a house mortgage. Okay. That's a huge problem. If you deal with that problem, there may be a shift in some of the homelessness. Now, most people who have an issue paying rent or something, either they're going to jail or they couldn't afford the apartment. Something happened. They weren't good with their money. Job fell through, things like that. They either move back home, move with friends, or move back to the country they came from. Okay, that is really a lot of what goes on when that happens. The people who are homeless, the overwhelming majority of people that I see that are homeless are young, able-bodied men and women who could go get a job anywhere if they just cleaned up and went and basically, they could camp out, have a set of clothes, do a bird bath in a gas station or something, and then go to work for the day. If you're in construction, you're going to get dirty. So it's not like you have to have the cleanest, the cleanest clothes or anything in the world. You can get away with going 2 and 3 days doing a bird bath and just wearing the same old clothes. And in those, you may have to wait for the paycheck, find something to do, gear up for it, whatever. But you can always correct the decision-making process that got you to that point. I have been in situations where I've had to ask for help and stay with friends or family, but I pulled my head out of my ass and got back on track and rebuilt and started over. I've done it many, many times in my life, mostly when I was younger and stupid. A lot, when you're young, I'm sorry to tell you this, you are not as smart as you think you are. But by any means, you probably won't grow a brain until you're about 30 or so. So, in any case, there's always alternatives for it. But we have a guy, Mike Johnson, and the other one, the other person running is Kelly Burrow. I think it's Burrow. Yeah. In any case, they're both looked at as middle politicians. They're, just left or right of center. I believe both of them to be just left of center. We don't really have a whole lot of Republicans that run for office around here anymore because we are just not that state anymore, which is horrible. We have a lot of bad decision making going on here. But in any case, Kelly's smart. She's been around for a while. She, unfortunately, is a Democrat, and has a lot of Democrat views. And one of her former bosses was a governor here. He's in the Senate, I believe, still. Don't think very much of him, but whatever. You're kind of stuck with what you got. The other guy, Mike Johnson, seems like a Democrat. He may be a Republican. I haven't done a whole lot of looking into where his actual affiliations are. Sometimes it can be hard to find those things, but in all intents and purposes, the things that he's talking about, I would peg him as a Democrat. But his biggest platform these days is really selling the homeless thing. He wants to, if you look at it, I believe the statement was that the streets should be something about the streets should be home to every Coloradoan, but they shouldn't be your home. I would have to look at his commercial again, but essentially what he was saying is that every Coloradoan should have a home, but they shouldn't be on the street. And while I agree with that to a certain degree, you cannot provide, there are charity groups and things like that to provide shelter for homeless people. And in the wintertime, I think you got to do what you can. There are legitimate homeless people, especially older people out there who have made a slew of bad decisions in their life, or they had something that rocked their world that they just could not recover from.
Good morning, Donald. You have been a valuable asset to this company. So this is not easy for me to say. You're fired.
I get those things happen, okay? And unfortunately, the one underlying factor for homeless people is if you've been homeless for a while, you just could not pull yourself out of whatever drugs, alcohol, drinking, whatever happened, you could not pull yourself out of it. Your decision-making process led to you still being homeless. For some people, it is an obvious choice and way of life. You have people camping out this urban camping all over the state of Colorado alongside the highways. I saw a tent in the median, one day. When I go camping, I go up to the mountains. I go to see nature. It's not that I want to sit there and camp in the middle of 6 lanes of highway because it thrills me. Maybe that's something I'm not seeing, but hey, more power to you. But the problem is that those people aren't homeless. They have chosen where their home is going to be, okay? That is their choice about that home, okay? People who are legitimately homeless, people who are trying to, they've got some mental health issue, or they've got a problem that if they could just nick that problem and get out of it, they want to get a job. They're trying to get a job. They can't find. Sometimes you got to set your standards a little low, start out on the ground level and work your way up again, and trade jobs one after the other and get your career going again type thing. Lord knows there's a lot of people who've done it. I've done it. But you take the steps. You start using your brain to figure a mental process and a plan of attack, and then you use the courage inside you to take those steps, and you just keep hammering at it. And it's never an easy road, but at the end of the day, it'll take time, but you will have something to show for it. You can find a room to rent. You can get enough money to stay in a crappy hotel, but at least you have a roof over your head and a place that you can use as your home base of operations for the mission of getting your life back on track. Okay? But I promise you, these candidates, And it's really not. I haven't seen a whole lot of Kelly's commercials talking about this. It's been Mike's commercials, but Mike Johnson, he wants to build housing for people. He wants to build all this different stuff for these people. Okay, so he basically is now encouraging and enabling people to say, hey, screw it. He's going to start paying for everything, but it's not coming out of Mike Johnson's pocket. Okay, that money's going to come out of my pocket and your pocket. Okay, if you live in the city and county of Denver, how do you think he's going to pay for that? Because if you think there's an overwhelming surplus of money sitting around that they're not attributing to other things, and well, nobody's just used the homeless building project money yet, bullshit. He is going to hit us up for taxes or impose a tax. And people like the people in Boulder, who are these bleeding heart liberals, are going to vote and possibly now tax everybody in the city and county of Denver who's already feeling the pressure of a recession. Okay? People that are already having to worry about paying that next rent payment. I've got a gentleman that lives underneath me. He's got a note on his door about every other month. But he's still here. But he worries. Every month he is scrambling, and he has a job. He's trying to make something of his life. His job doesn't pay as well. I think I know what he does, but he's on ground level there. But ground level is allowing him to pay some bills, pay for rent. He's got a couple of kids that he's got to pay some money on. I mean, he's getting by. He's scraping by, and I know how that feels. There's a lot of people working, and they're, paycheck to paycheck right now. But Mike says he wants to build homeless shelters and everything else, and he's going to do it with his Harry Potter wand flying out of his ass, apparently, because I don't know if he's got a money tree or what he's got, because he is going to ask us up for some money because there's no other alternative for him. And how do you think you're going to do that? I mean, the city and county of Denver, if you've lived here and you've looked on the ballot, every ballot that comes up, with the exception of this mayor's ballot because it's a runoff, there has been some sort of bill on there that is asking for more money. Now, people approved a bill earlier, I believe it was it last year? A couple of years ago, for highways. It was a highway transportation bill. Our highways, because the amount of people that this country is letting in, okay, and make no mistake, that is a huge part of it. Our highways cannot handle the infrastructure of cars and people that are now driving on them. And if you've been driving in the state of Colorado, you know as well as anybody else, there are certain times where if you can catch the right 15-minute window, you may only take a half hour to 45 minutes to get to where you're going. But if you're not in that window, it's going to take you an hour to an hour and a half to get to where you're going, depending on where that is. Especially, mostly on the highways. And it's going to be a crowded drive. One thing goes wrong, and 5 lanes of highway get backed up. Now, here's the other caveat to that. To make those highways bigger, we approved a bill. Well, guess what that was in that bill? Yeah, they made the highways bigger and the projects and the money was there, but you now have to pay for the extra lanes that they put on the highway. Do you understand that? You paid money and taxes. You allowed the city and county of Denver to up your taxes to come up with money to pay for extra lanes on the highway that you now have to pay for those lanes all your life because they are toll lanes. Do you understand that? They are toll lanes. And you can pay as much as $2, $3, $4, $6, $8, $10 depending on the vehicle and how long of a drive you have. So understand, you're getting nickel and dimed by everybody, and now you have a candidate in Johnson that is going to nickel and dime you again for some more money to pay for people who have made the wrong choice time after time again. The people who basically would go live in those houses and still elect to go ask you for your money. But now he wants to build homes for them. Why? Why would you do that? You want to build homes for people and build these, I don't know, tough shed residences and things like that for people that would get up every day under and not have to pay for rent, which I do. I work my butt off to pay for my rent and everything else. But to pay for rent, they wouldn't have to do any of that, but they can get up, go find a road, and panhandle for money because they're homeless and, hey, you all have to pay for my shelter now. Are you kidding me? In what world does that sound okay to somebody? Now, if you want to form a charity and have people donate, have at it. That is your choice. But you know as well as I do that they're going to tax us for that money, and it may not be our choice. If enough bleeding hearts idiots who don't think about what they're doing vote for this, then there's going to be a considerable amount of people who did not support it who are now going to be paying into something that they don't want to pay into. And they are under greater financial stress because of it. You want to make it an opt-in type of thing to where, hey, on this ballot, would you, if you would like to donate to this cause, donate 5, 10, 15, 20, and that's all you're asking for, then have at it. That's the way ballots should be done. If you want some sort of special project that's such as the one that Mike Johnson wants to do, have it be a volunteer donation on the ballot for that. Do it that way. The parties are asking for $1, $10, $15 all the time. Have it so that, people can donate to, have a list of causes, but don't have it be a tax. And then use that budget. And if it takes another year, ask them next year. Put it on whatever ballots and things are coming up next year. Build up the budget. You get an airport that's going to add in a concourse. Do you think they came up with that budget in 1 year? Hell no. Some of those projects took 5, 10, 15 years to come up with the budget and the planning to do the projects. Well, this is no different. This is just another construction project. Mike Johnson wants to do a project like that, fine. Let him cheer that up. Let people be able to donate to it if they want. Let them do some sort of fundraising things. Hell, go international. There's people auctioning off cars and houses and stuff. If you pay $100 for a ticket and stuff, get your money that way. Get some of these elite people that you think that make a lot of money or too much money. See if they'll donate a house or a car or something. Auction it off, things like that. Have it be a donation. Don't make it be a requirement, because for those of the people where the money's tight, you're going to screw them over. And I'll tell you right now, because of the people we have in office and the bullshit they're trying to pull, everybody's money is tight. Okay? Anybody making less than $100,000 a year, your money's tight. Okay? And even then, depending on what you may have jumped into financially, some of the people between $100,000, $150,000 a year, money's tight. We decided to switch jobs. It didn't quite work out. We're making a little bit less. We're making about $150,000 a year, but we've got Susie, Billy, Bob, and Joe over here, that have to go to school, and they got all this stuff, and, Susie's getting ready to go to college, and all that. Things can change. Financial things can change and put you under some strain. So, think about it. Think about who you vote for. Think about the fact that these people they're touting as homeless, they're not homeless. They have chosen their home. That is where they want to be. They've had friends and family who would help them out. You know, they have jobs that are available to them, jobs that pay well, but they elect not to do that. They elect that they would rather sit around, do nothing, ask you for your money, and then, go do drugs, drink, be lazy. You know, they just don't want to, they're making those choices. They are actively making choices to have this lifestyle. They're actively making choices to say, no, I've chosen where I want to live. I want to live under a bridge. I want to live in a tent by the side of a highway. I want to live in a tent on the Capitol doorstep. Those are choices they make. My choice is to work my butt off, get a paycheck, pay for as many things as I possibly can, try to enjoy life as much as I can, put a roof over my head, food in my stomach, provide for the people, that love me and that I love, all these different things. They come into play. But I choose to do that. I choose to work myself. I choose to improve my situation all the time. But they're not choosing that. They're choosing to do what they're doing. So before you get on this homeless train here in the city and county of Denver, and in Colorado in general, before you peek your head into that little world and say, well, these people are just, they were down on their luck, golly gee whiz, and, it's that one thing that just broke the camel's back, and we just need to help them get out of there. If you gave them help, they're not going to get out of the situation they're in. They're going to take your money and say, fuck yourself. I love where I'm at. I don't like working. I love being able to hop a train or a bus and travel to wherever. Don't dilute, or how can I say this? Don't fool yourself into thinking that by paying money and building shelters and in these little homes, these little home camps or whatever that he's proposing is going to solve the problem, because it's not. It's only going to be making the problem worse and enabling it. That's the truth of the matter. Some people might actually pull their head out of their ass because it sucks to be living outside for that long and say, you know what, screw this. I'm going to go get a job. I'm going to go do something with my life. But if you start enabling them, they won't do it. And it's going to get bigger. So it's not that I'm cold-hearted. It's not that I'm not saying help those. There are some people, I'll tell you right now, I used to make some food bags. They had a can of soup, a little spoon. I had the water. What else we put in there? Fruit, some chips, snacks, things like that. I would never give out money. I would give these bags out. Me and my son would go drop them off from time to time. But we would watch who we gave them to. I'm not going to give them to the young guy standing in the middle of the road who has a backpack and a bike, who is just going to go pedal off and go to his hotel he's paying for, this and that, because he doesn't want to fucking work. We used to actually look for people who we knew they were in a bad spot and needed help. And it was usually older people. It was usually older people in downtown Denver. Every now and then it would be a mother and their kids or something that we would try and give a couple bags to or something. But at the end of the day, we looked for people that we thought truly were actually homeless people who there's no way they could get out of that situation and they need help. There's no job that's going to take them. There's nothing they can do. They're just trying to survive. And those are the people that need the help. Women and children first, but those are the people that need the help. Not these people who are in their 20s and 30s or even sometimes their 40s who are just choosing to do this lifestyle. You may think it's cold-hearted. I don't care. I'm thinking about the reality of the situation. Maybe you ought to too. I don't know. What's your thoughts on the matter? This week we were going to talk about kindness. There's some kindness for you. I want you to be kind to others, definitely. And we'll talk about it more next week. But the reality is that the things that we're dealing with here this week with the election week, and your ballots have to be in by June 6th, 7 o'clock, I believe. Don't quote me on it, but you better double check your ballot. They do tell you in the little pages they give you. But, it's one of those things that come up that's a social topic. We got to talk about it. How far you want to go with it. What are your thoughts on the matter? Write in. Bottom of the screen, as always, there's the YouTube link to be able to find this faster so that you can watch these videos faster. Put that link in until my videos start moving up the chain. It's only going to happen if people continue to watch and support the channel and like and subscribe. Those are how YouTube tracks these things so that when you type in Nefarious Cast, you don't get the cast for a movie called Nefarious, but it does move it up the chain. Views and watched hours and things like that. It's a great way to help out the channel. But at the bottom of the screen, there's also an email, joshua@nefariouscast.com. And I check the email a few times a week and would love to hear some back and forth from you guys. Would love to hear your opinions on things, what you have to say, and we'll keep talking about something. You bring up some valid issues, I'll bring those issues up. You'll be anonymous. Always I try to keep everybody anonymous. But we will absolutely continue conversations and have a back and forth discussion. As I said before, I have the capability of hooking a cell phone up to the audio interface that I have, and I can, if we can make some arrangements, you could absolutely be on this podcast. We'll have a back and forth. People obviously wouldn't be able to see you, not unless you have a setup. I could send you a link that way too, and we can kind of do a two-person type of show. But at the same time, you could have your opinion here, and we can have a discussion about something. So if you want to do that, we can do that. Otherwise, send me your opinions to the email. Again, Josh@nefariouscast.com. Joshua at nefariouscast.com. But think about that. Think about your choices when you're voting for people. Think about the logic and the sense behind what these people are saying. Sometimes, a lot of times, they're saying something that sounds real good, but when you think about all the little details that would take to make that happen, you can come to conclusions where the common sense that's in your brain, or at least hopefully it is, will tell you, hey, listen, there's something in here that's awry. He can't do this without doing this, this, and this. There's no way he can accomplish that because no one would do this, this, and this. Or man, that's a lot of money to be spending on things that we just don't have anymore. And that's a huge problem in this country. We seem to be spending a lot of money and we want to keep going with it, but we want to raise our credit limit. Yeah, they did. Who's stopping our government from doing it? Because that's what they just did this last week. They're asking for a new debt ceiling. They want to be able to borrow more money instead of keeping the debt ceiling where it's at and only able to borrow what we can pay back. Where's the money going? We got too much money going out the door. That's another thing. Nationally, too much money going out the door right now. That's another topic for next week. So, like I said, tell me your opinions. Maybe we'll continue on with the debt portion of this next week, and we'll kind of put kindness to the side for a couple of weeks. We'll see how it goes. But I want to thank you guys for watching. Please, give me your opinions. Tell me what you think. What's been gnawing on you for the week? We'll absolutely talk about what you want to talk about. That was the purpose of this show. That's what I want to happen. That was the intended outcome for this, was to have a dialogue with people and get people's voices heard. So that being said, I want to thank you all for watching, and I'll see you when I see you. Thanks.